Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cyber Esports, Diversifying and Evolving the Cyber Workforce. Please join me in welcoming Jessica Gulick to the stage. So, Jessica Gulick, a globally known and respected cybersecurity professional and influential speaker with over 25 years of experience in engineering and cybersecurity, with a background in leading cybersecurity teams, contributing to national cyber standards as an author and an established cyber innovation centres, she brings a wealth of expertise to Play Cyber as their CBO. In addition to her role at Play Cyber, Jessica is the founder and commissioner behind the US Cyber Games, Blended and Women's Team, Wicked Six, International Cybersecurity Championship and Conference, and Global Cyber Games. As a founder of Play Cybers over the last 4 years, she and her team have gained valuable experience and contacts globally in organising successful large cyber games. They have refined their skills and programs through the market testing and operational insights, from securing corporate sponsorships to guiding coaches in creating high-performance cyber teams to running market-leading competitions. Jessica also holds significant positions such as Chair of the International Cybersecurity Challenge, over 50 nations have been engaged, member of the steering committees for the Kunoichi Cyber Games in Japan, member of the VT-BIT Cybersecurity Committee, and member of the Bay Path University Cyber Education Council. Her qualifications include PMP and CIF certifications, along with an MBA from Virginia Tech, and has co-authored a number of NIST special publications on cybersecurity standards. Please take it away.
Thank you. All right, before I get started today, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the audience. If you will, just by a show of hands, how many of you have played cybersecurity capture the flag games? All right, fantastic. We don't have to cover that very much. All right, how many of you have played esports or video games? How many of you were in sports? All right, so I think we've covered everybody, which is good. My presentation's over. I am on a mission to make global cyber esports, and therefore for a number of different reasons. One, because it is all about inspiring the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. The second is about preparing them for the future. We are at a very interesting point in the marketplace where we have the entry of artificial intelligence, we have cloud, we have quantum. Our game, if you will, our workplace, our livelihood, all of this is changing. It's changing in so many ways at such a speed that it's hard to see what it is that we need to do as nations, as workplaces, and as teachers and parents to help prepare the next generation for the challenges that they will face that we have not. One of the things that is a guiding principle at my organization, Play Cyber, and one that we believe truly at its core, and I have to be honest, I did not invent this, but I learned it from eSport organizations that have been sharing this with parents for many years now, is this idea of learn to play, play to learn. Think about that for a second. If we can teach, or if we can have an ability to learn to play a game, and maybe I'm showing my age here, but how did you all learn to play Mario? Mario Kart? Anybody? Anybody a fan of Mario Kart? How'd you learn to play? I saw my brother did it, and I said, if he can do it, I can do it, right? And I just grabbed the controller and tried to figure it out, right? But I learned how to play that game, and by learning how to play my first video game, I was able to play additional games to learn other skills, like situational awareness. Where have we heard that before? Anybody operate in a security operations center somewhere? All right, so there are a lot of skills that we learn playing games that help us throughout our career. So if we can open up the community to learn more cybersecurity games, they can leverage this not just in elementary school, not just in middle school or high school or college, but throughout their entire career to learn tactics and tools and networking. Think about it. Our students and our kids are learning how to play video games by watching Twitch. They're watching other people do these kinds of skills, and then they mimic them. Can we not do that in cybersecurity? Does it really need to be a black box? Can't we just demystify it, open it up so we can learn from each other? These are the things that esports, and cyber esports in particular, can start to unlock. But let's talk about the sports pieces of it, because I often get a lot of pressure from the community on why do I think that cyber sports or sports can have such an impression in cybersecurity? Let me ask you that question. For those that were active in sport programs, what did you learn from sports? Think about that. I don't know about you, but I learned to appreciate my bruises, to get back up. I lost the game, I showed up again. I continued forward. I learned leadership. I learned communication and teamwork. None of this is new. You're probably sitting there and say, yeah, okay, move on. Let me ask you this question. For the individuals that didn't play sports in school, where did they learn that? Think about that for a minute. That's the real question. They didn't. They didn't get the same opportunity. If you didn't play sports, you don't understand what it's like to be up at Friday night or up at 4 a.m. on a Saturday or hustling through. You might have had other experiences, but there is a ton of learnings and a community that you could not be part of because of physical barriers, because you weren't interested, because both your parents worked, because you didn't have the money, you name it. Cybersports removes those barriers, and it opens up. Not only does it open up to a larger pool of candidates, but it actually appreciates some of the alternative folks out there. And I mean people that think differently. I'm talking neurodiversity. I'm talking about people that just see the world different. They weren't part of the sports programs, they weren't part of the clique groups, et cetera. And they might have gotten pressures in schools, but in cybersports, they're honored for their brilliance, because your mental capacity, the way you think things, having a different perspective, being from a different country and moving into a new community, all of those differences are celebrated in cybersecurity because it gives you a competitive advantage. That's what I mean by alternative, is that just different from everything else that happens to be happening in that environment. So personally, I learned sacrifice, teamwork, unity. Competition builds character and skill, they said. But we're not teaching this necessarily in schools unless you're in sports. How does that have implications when you move into a security operations center? Think about that for a second. What is the difference between the good guys and the bad guys in cybersecurity? There's not a lot of difference, is there? So what we're doing is we're blending the three, and that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. One is the esports pieces of it. What is esports teaching us? Well, at a high level, and we'll talk about this in a second, it's teaching us cognitive skills. This is different. You can learn in the school system your technical skills from vocational or college or going for certifications. Your cognitive skills are what differentiates you. They are the mental capacity. It is the mental sport of the future, cybersecurity. That situational awareness. In situational awareness, we talk about security operations center, understanding the network, understanding indicators and warnings, et cetera. In esports, it's all about understanding where the good guys are, your team, and where the bad guys or your opponents, right? It's all about understanding where are you in the game board and where do you need to be. It's about speed and proficiency. It's about having that adaptability, if you will, intuition and instinct. From an athletic standpoint, we learn a lot of different things from coaching and mentorship, teamwork, collaboration, time management, and of course, cybersecurity, cyber games, let's say your typical Jeopardy, capture the flag, teaches us the technical skills. But does it though? I think it goes a step further. It teaches you how to learn on the spot and apply and make decisions that is much different than just showing how to, is what I would say, a linear game, if you will, of understanding What is the skill I need to demonstrate? I've demonstrated, therefore I get points. So in the United States, when we put together our athletic program for cybersecurity, I took a look at athletics, and I don't mean necessarily how football is played. What I'm talking about is how it's organized. How is the NFL organized? How is it that we have clubs in the school systems across the nation? How do they work together? How do we create not just one game, not one Super Bowl, if you will, but how do we create a workforce pipeline? And how do we keep them interested and trained and inspired, if you will, to move from middle school to more of this college semi-pro team? We took a look at some of the research around the rules of the game. We don't really talk about rules in cybersecurity when you're in an academic institution. They do to some extent, but let's say maybe not for a penetration test. If you're doing a penetration test on an organization, what do you need? A rules of engagement, a contract, an understanding. So some of the games are teaching these fundamentals that may or may not have been discussed in schools depending on what the curriculum is, but it's doing it in such an applied way because it's impacting how they plan, how they communicate, how they strategize, and how they win. We talk about fair play. It's a very interesting concept. How do you determine fair play when you have 50 nations competing? Ever think of the cultural implications of that? It's an interesting dynamic. Why should you care? What is fair play in the workforce? How many of your organizations interact internationally? These are the things that we're teaching the students and athletes that are part of our program. But it also provides a family. One of the number one things that esports and athletics do is they provide a family. I remember I'm a mom of 2 kids, and when my son was in 6th grade, one of the men that I work with, he said, "Jess, you need to get him in football." And I'm like, okay, I don't know how I feel about that. And he's like, no, you don't understand. He needs a family when he's in high school. He needs the male mentorship. He needs to be surrounded by people that he can say he's part of, if you will. Get him into some kind of sport. And he's right. Sports do that. So do esports. Esports do that for many, many, many students and professionals across the world, particularly after the pandemic. But let's talk about esports. I also get a lot of pushback, if you will, on cybersecurity, esports. Where are the visuals? Show me the colors. Is it going to be like Call of Duty? Are we talking about League of Legends? Show me the avatars, the cool stuff. It's not what I'm talking about. If you look at the growing body of research around esports, it's about the cognitive skills. It's about the training. It's about mental health. These are all things that apply to many of us in this room because you work way too many hours in a week. And how many of you spend that entire time in front of a computer? And then when crisis hits, are you taking care of yourself? These are all the things that play into cyber esports and cybersecurity, but it makes it go from being just another esport to what we call serious gaming, which unlocks careers. We can also look at the esports in terms of infrastructure. I talk with a lot of colleges around the United States, and I say, hey, if you're going to invest millions of dollars into an esports arena, why can that not be your cybersecurity arena as well? If you're going to invest in digital makerspaces, why can't that also be cybersecurity? Why not get dual purpose? The infrastructures across the marketplace across the globe right now is growing because esports is a growing marketplace and it's sexy and people are willing to put money in it because they're willing to bet and they're willing to do entertainment, etc. Cybersecurity games can come right into that infrastructure with very little additional investment to make it even more valuable for the community, the college, and the marketplace. And then let's talk about the pool of talent. Have any of you heard of something called DreamHack? Or eSport League has an event called DreamHack. So I had the opportunity to attend a DreamHack, and it was really cool. It reminded me of the old days in cybersecurity, maybe the early days of DEF CON, if you will. It was that kind of grit, if you will. But we're there and we're talking about cyber games, and every time I had some young folks come by and I'm like, hey, do you guys know anything about cybersecurity? They're like, no. No. Do you want to learn how to hack? Maybe. You got stickers? Kind of thing. But when I talk to them, what I learn is they know how to hack. They're hacking the video games. They're getting extra lives. They're figuring out, where are the Easter eggs in the program. They know how to code. They're doing all of this outside of school, is my point. They're not sitting in a class. They don't necessarily have a focus on it. This is just part of their life. And they don't talk about it, but they're doing it. The eSport talent pool is ideal for cybersecurity, and we're not tapping it enough. You might say, why? Well, let's go back to our pen testers. What do pen testers need to know how to do? Circumvent rules, try things that never have been tried before, think differently. They need to know how to continue to push in different ways to circumvent different things, and problem solving. These are all technical capabilities that eSport players have naturally. This natural inclination to look at the entire world, and it gets kind of scary when you start working with them very closely because you start seeing the world that way too. They would walk into this room, for example, and they wouldn't see the chairs or the stage necessarily. They'd be seeing the exit rooms, and hey, if they won't let me through that door, can I get through that door? And if I got through that door, where would, you get my point, right? They look at the world differently. This is what we need in our workplace. So of course, cyber games. Many of you are already familiar with this, so I don't need to go into it in any depth. Fundamental elements develop next generation. This is where we started from, is my point. We started with typical capture the flags contests that have individuals that are playing games for points. They're demonstrating tons of different skills and aptitude. Then we have the fact that these games are providing a safe place to hack. Do we really want everybody just practicing in open environments, maybe at AUSCERT, on the network, the Wi-Fi, et cetera? No. So then what do we do? Well, we control you with rules and law. Imagine that. What is the flip side of that? The flip side is that you don't know what you can possibly do. And we need a safe environment where the brilliant minds can push themselves and we can study what they did and how they approached it. Because that'll make a difference, not just in the game, but it could make a difference to national security. It could make a difference in terms of what the new innovation, tool, or technique is that we leverage, but we won't know unless we provide a safe place for them to push themselves and to learn from each other and to think differently. And these games are doing that. This is just kind of a summary of the different games. One of the things that I would point out is I include cyber exercises. Because we've been doing cyber exercises for disaster recovery for years. Same concept, slightly different. So it's obvious that cyber games and esports can help with talent acquisition. So when I talk to sponsors, 9 times out of 10, they're like, how do we recruit? And that's usually the number one thing they're thinking about. The other thing, when I talk to government liaisons, they're all talking about workforce training. How do we use games to teach skills? What are the micro-credentials or the credentials that we can get? But if you're running a security operations center, why aren't you using the games to bring your team together as a team bonding exercise? You can do that. You can do team building. You can do cross-team building, maybe with your clients, and IT exercises. That's kind of an obvious one. But here's a kicker. What about performance ratings? I've talked to a lot of IT managers and security managers that have said, if I can use a CTF or some kind of cyber game in order to measure the skill this year and then play them again next year, then I can show that there is skill differentiation. Now let's take that to the extreme. I had one person, a friend of mine who runs an organization, he said, just stop. Once you start cyber sports, then we're gonna have free agents, then all these cybersecurity professionals that get top ranking at DEF CON and such, they're going to expect more pay. Yes, they will. And yes, they deserve it. Interesting how games can impact performance ratings as well. But by blending or merging, if you will, the competitive spirit of these sports into the technical demands that we have in cybersecurity, we are evolving and diversifying the global workforce, just innately. So let's talk about that a little bit. What do I mean by that? I think I've said it in a couple of different ways, but I want to move from highly skilled individuals, brilliant mind, to high-performing teams. There's a difference with that. We don't teach that necessarily, but games do. So if you're running a security operations center and you want a high-performing team, start letting them play games together. Whether it's esports or cyber or both, it doesn't matter. It's about creating a high-performing team. I've gone to the #1 high school in the United States, and I've played a capture the flag game. And it had 7 people on the team per 2 teams, and one of the teams had the top-notch, most brilliant mind in that school. And let me tell you, for the #1 STEM school in the United States, he was very, very smart. He was very, very dumb. I wouldn't say that. He was very smart, but he was very arrogant too. What did he do? He basically said, I got this, okay. And he literally set up the computers and he was like, this and this and this and this. And so we said, red team, go at him. We broke him. We didn't break him into crying or anything like that. It was about breaking him to realize it had to be more than just him. And all of a sudden something clicked. He's like, yeah, this is not working. Hold on a second. All right, Tim, you over here. Scott, you here. All right, Elizabeth, I need you here. Let's do this, right? All of a sudden, his thought process of just him broke down and he realized he needed a team. He is going to be doing some amazing things in the future. We need more of that. Let me prove it to you. I've run cross-generational games where we've had middle school, high school, college, and professional teams that were representing a company that we all know in this room. Guess who won the game? The high school team won the game. The professionals didn't win, they didn't get close. Why? Because they all sat at the table, they said, I got my server, you got your server, and let's go. They didn't communicate. The high school team, which was playing something called Cyber Patriot in the United States, they came in with a game plan, all printed out, they knew what they were gonna do, and they were like moving around. The captain never sat down, never touched a computer, rotated around and helped everybody. That's what I want in a security operations center. Some of the attributes that we have, you can look at sports, strength, speed, conditioning. Esports, there's dexterity, speed. Cyber sports, there's cognitive, speed, conditioning, and positioning, and skill range. It's very, very similar. What that means to you is as you're starting to build your programs, start looking at the other research that's out there to help you understand how long somebody can focus. And this is what I love, and I've read this recently from a report, the rise of the cognitive athlete. How does a football player or soccer, let's go with football, how does a quarterback know where to throw the ball? In the Super Bowl, when everything is on his shoulders, how is it that he can anticipate where the ball is going to be? Because he's done drills, because he's practiced, because it's innate. He's not thinking about it, it just happens. Some of these students and players in cybersecurity, they are playing 4 to 5 games a month. That means they're spending more than 10 hours a week. Did you know an average Olympic trainers training professional athletes are doing between 11 and 16 hours a week? They're not that far off. They have intuition. They can basically say, my gut says we need to look over here. They have instinct. I think we need to do this. They know how to divide and to switch their attention. I need to focus here. Of course, fast reaction times. Situational awareness we talked about, the ability to focus long periods of time. Any forensic people in the audience, when there's a crisis, how long are you working? Sometimes 3 to 6 weeks. I've seen some people sleep in their cars, depending on how big of an event it is. But having this resiliency is important. And this is what we're seeing that cybersecurity esports can help bring to our community. We go a little bit into cyber esports. How do they organize? We talk about coaching teams and training, the fandom, the game format. We can talk about roles, and these are just some to throw at you, is that when you're looking at your cyber team, everybody has a role. And when you have a role and you know what your role is, you play your role and you expect everybody else to, and that's what allows teamwork to happen. And through that teamwork, you can achieve amazing things. This is a bit of a picture on showing you how we've really gone from this evolution, if you will, in the marketplace. We started off with capture the flag games as individuals, then they started playing them as teams. Then now we're moving into sports where we do shoutcasting, we do commentary. We help to bring cybersecurity to the kitchen table. We start talking about what fair play is, and we start talking about what juries and different norms are going to be part of the sport. This is all global teaming that's happening. Again, 10, 20 years from now, 15 years from now, the people that are playing these games now, they're going to have their equivalents in high-ranking positions around different corporations and governments. They're going to know how to play together when it matters because they got to play together now. Does that make sense? And so this kind of opportunity is phenomenal, and why we really need to drive a global esport program in cybersecurity, because it will help us work together in cybersecurity, not just every day, but when it matters. A little bit for those that aren't as aware, there are many roles that you can play in cybersecurity. In the United States, we have the NICE cybersecurity workforce framework that we align our games to. And this helps me communicate to sponsors where they can help place our talent and why it matters to them. One little tidbit, and that is timing is everything. If you look at the World Economic Forum and ISC2, what you'll notice in the latest job reports, things have changed. Employers are actually valuing technical skills less, and some of these other skills like analytical thinking, creative thinking, resiliency, motivation, curiosity, technical literacy, the ability to learn, all of this is being actually valued at a higher level than technical skills. And the reason is because the marketplace is so dynamic and changing. Who would have thought that, if you're hiring somebody, that a degree wouldn't matter as much as understanding AI prompt engineering? In some roles, that's true right now. Things are just so weird and changing on a dime. And so the workforce is really looking for these adaptable people. And some of this can be learned through games. Same thing we see at the ISC² research. My point is that it's just backing itself up. This is real right now. It's not just technical skills. When you talk about the next interview that you do, they're going to want to know, how did you problem solve? And that's going to be maybe more important than your credentials. This is a little perspective of what we do in the United States. And my point here is it's not just about the game. It's about everything that leads up to the game. We have a 12-month program. We start with tryouts. We do evaluations. We do our draft day, just like the NFL. We train, and then we compete. That's 12 months long. It's not just a capture the flag contest. This is about preparing a workforce, or workforce capacity planning, if you will, with cybersecurity, and it helps to inspire the next generation. But it also is a continuous program that needs to be funded and supported with volunteers and funding to make it continue to happen. But as I close up, I just wanted to say that cyber is gender blind. Realize I'm coming from the United States, and it's only May now. All minds, all brilliant minds, are wanted in cybersecurity. I've learned a lot over the last few years, and what I've realized is that the cyber sports, the beauty of it is the diversity. Those that were once given very little time and attention are considered heroes in our space because they do math, because they understand the world differently. There's a place for everybody. Because we're so much communication online, who you are, how much you have, it matters very little. I have a couple more slides, but I want to actually end on this. Is it going to work? Okay. Oh, sorry? Oh, okay. Then let me go back here. Excellent. Sorry, Ed. Can you go back a slide? Nope, go back a slide. We're going to do that in a second. I no longer have control. 2, 3 slides. We'll stay here. Gender is blind in cybersecurity, but having more women is important to increase the pool of talent that we have. 94% of women executives in C-suites had a background in sports. Did you know that? 85% of the women surveyed, they developed the skills that they had from being in sport programs. There's another statistic that's not on there that says they earn more than $120,000 a year. Some of the skills you see listed there. You might ask why that's important. In the 1970s, women didn't have sport programs. There wasn't a girls' sport program in the local schools. And so, is it the next slide? The slide back. And so what happened is the back slide's just not working. Yeah, it's not. That's okay. We started off with introducing women's sports into the program in the United States. And we went from having maybe 500,000 of girls into athletic programs around the nation and about 3 million boys. Fast forward 10 years, the boys increased to about 4 million, not bad. The girls increased by 3 million. Think about that statistic for a second. Having dedicated women's programs actually brings more women into the program. It's not because they need to have a separate team. It's because we're focusing in and we're allowing them to adapt their skills together in what they would normally do, because women like to do things together with other women. And so it creates a fun experience for them. And that means that we can bring them into the workforce or into the other teams. Because so many people ask me, how do I get more women on my cybersecurity or IT team? It's hard to introduce just one woman to the team or 2 women or 3 women kind of thing. It's not enough to just hire more women and expect it to work. We've got to have women-oriented programs to help them feel confident, to give them an opportunity to network, et cetera, because they haven't had that opportunity in the past in the IT and cybersecurity realm. I am recruiting women for the United States team every day, and I'm having difficulty finding them because they weren't playing capture the flag 10 years ago. They are now, but they don't have the same skills. They don't speak the same language on their resumes. They talk about things differently. So now we have a women's team. It's fascinating to me because I'm a woman in IT for way too many years than I'm willing to say on stage. But I'm learning from them in this experience like I've never seen before. It's just different. I've learned that you train them different, you understand and evaluate differently. But then I've also noticed the most important thing. When you bring them all back together, we have a blended team and a women's team, the impact is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. The positivity, the communication, the everything in that room just changes, the professionalism. It changes the dynamic when you bring diversity into the room. And I got to see that firsthand. So my message to everybody else out there is support the women's program that's going on out there. See the teams out there, see Joshua here, he can walk you through what they're doing. It is going to have an amazing impact, not just here in Australia, but around the world. And the final quote that I'll leave you with from Nelson Mandela is, sport has the power to change the world, has the power to unite in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language they understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair. It is more powerful than the governments in breaking down racial barriers. It laughs in the face of all types of discrimination. Let's open up the opportunity for cybersecurity and for tech by bringing sports into our program. Now, what I'm going to share with you next is a quick video. It's like 2 minutes long. It's how we're going to end this. If you know of organizations out there that want to be part of something special at the global level, please introduce them here to these folks out front, because we're hoping to be here next year and we'd love to see you back at AUSCERT. Now let's play the video and the music. I got gremlins all over this. That's funny.
While we're working out the gremlins, can I just
Yeah, stopped.
to put your Q&A section of the app? Thank you.
Sorry, it's not playing.
It did earlier. Murphy's Law. It's a wonderful experience. We hope that you join us next year to see what it looks like in real life. What questions do we have, if anything?
Fantastic. Yeah, so again, just a reminder in case the mic wasn't on, there we go. Can you, if you do have any questions, please pop it in the Q&A section in the app, but I do have a couple here for you.
Okay.
First one, you spoke a lot about having women in your cybersecurity teams. Really relate to that as a female who works within a SOC. I just wanted to ask a question. If you do notice any differences in terms of managerial styles for males versus women, or like men versus women.
And how they lead? Is that the question? How
They are managed.
That's a hard question to answer. I don't see a lot of differences in how they are managed based on gender. I will say that there is a different level of communication that occurs, an openness, if you will, that the women bring, that a willingness to show that they don't quite have the skill, but they want to learn. And so when we're in more of the blended audience, we don't get that as much. There's a little bit more competitiveness, does that make sense? And less of a focus on helping. There's more of a vulnerability that I think the women are willing to bring, that I think really makes it a valuable experience for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. We also have a question. People are keen to see the video. So since we are having gremlins today, where is the best place for us to be able to view this?
That's a great question. I'll have to work with the venue to make that available.
Okay, thank you. Another one here is, have you ever had any esports members hack the game, e.g. provide themselves with extra lives?
So it's not really an esport game, but I think extra lives have, non-hackers have figured that out over the years. I don't know how many people have kind of figured out how to get extra lives on a video game. It's okay, you can raise your hand. It's not well, is it?
Fantastic. Next one is, this looks like a super awesome program. Are there any feeder competitions for Australia? Oh, I can see UQ Cyber, Ryan, popping his hand up.
Can we hand them a microphone?
So we have actually, going up to the International Cybersecurity Challenge, which we're going to be hosting here at AUSCERT next year, we have a qualifier competition which is open to a wider audience, but focusing mainly on people aged 18 through to 26 roughly. That competition is a CTF competition. It runs over the course of one day. That's our feeder competition that we go to turn into Team Oceania, which is the team that participates at the international competition. We've actually got a few members of Team Oceania here at the conference currently competing. They're busy coming first place right now, but they'll be here at the gala dinner and around at the conference. If you have any questions about what this sort of looks like from an Oceania region standpoint, we're happy to have a discussion. Just as you've all heard, organizes the US side.
We would like to engage everyone here. Yeah, if you belong to an organization or simply want to coach, just come and talk to us. We're happy to engage you, and hopefully we'll be able to win the championship on local ground next year. Yeah, but we compete in a very friendly way, and yeah.
Love a bit of small talking smack between countries. All right, last question. Do individuals register as a company or as themselves and placed into a team?
So I believe, I know our program in the United States is individuals for uscybergames.com.
Individuals as well in Australia. People are participating as individuals, but what we love to see is when the individuals qualify for the team, that their company is able to support them, both for being able to treat it as work training time to participate in the competition. It's about a week to participate at the international competition, and also sometimes if their work is able to provide sponsorship, things like money to send the players over. Like, for instance, this year, some of our staff may well be in some of our team may well be in your organization. We're going to be going over to Japan in November of this year. So I'll be telling players to make sure they're reaching out to their managers and stuff to be able to support them in doing that.
Fantastic. I'm a little bit sad that I'm aged out. All right, can everyone please join me in giving Jessica a large round of applause? She did so well, Gremlins and all.